England played Scotland. This is a match that England should have won, but they got utterly destroyed. But I noticed a few things in the match which I could relate to the attitude for people on our Skin Microbiome Fitness Packages in general, across the general population, which leads to them not achieving the things which they would like with their skin. The one secret which I noticed, which applies to many people's attitudes about skin health, is
Sam and Kit Wallen-Russell, who really took skincare into their own hands.
Twin brothers from the UK who are taking the skincare industry by storm.
Sam is a nuclear astrophysicist, and Kit is a geophysicist and author.
A Notre Dame grad and his twin brother are looking to revolutionize skin health.
The two launched a 2-year intensive research study.
Two very smart guys who knew all about bad skin at a very early age.
That woman at the end was our mum, and really she's the face which launched 1,000 questions for us.
Right, Sam, a special podcast because I think this will go out a bit later than the actual match. But England this week just gone, they played Scotland. And for anyone who doesn't know, especially at the moment, this is a match that England should have won. But they got utterly destroyed by Scotland, who were the massive underdogs. And while I was watching the rugby match, obviously I love rugby. And also there's something about England rugby in recent years, and they've never really lived up to their potential. They've always had amazing players. They've always had the most money of any rugby union in the whole world, even though places like Samoa and other tiny islands often take them very close comparatively. But I noticed a few things in there in the match which I could relate to the attitude for people on our Skin Microbiome Fitness Packages, which sometimes leads to them not achieving the things which they would like with their skin. And this in general, across the general population, it might even be more pronounced in England. But I just wanted to highlight the one main thing.
Yeah, it's nice because whenever I'm doing anything, whether it's playing tennis, watching rugby, whatever it is, doing physics, you can always relate it back to the skin and how it can completely change your life or your skin and your life.
Exactly. Imagine how maddening it must be to be in your head.
Well, maddening to others. It's just thank yourself that you don't have to live with being inside my head, whereas I love it.
Can I just say one thing on Saturday, the England match? They did get hammered.
Yeah.
But I have to say, Scotland played brilliantly, and they had a genius of a magician who played right half, who absolutely ran the show. So again, it's not just about England losing; it's also about Scotland playing utterly brilliantly.
Yeah, for me, it's less about the score and about the points that I don't know what you're going to say, but I've got a few interesting points. But yeah, for us being half Scottish, we could have turned up to this podcast in our Scottish shirts instead of the England shirts, but we're staying true to England, even though we're half Scottish.
Exactly, yeah. I was almost going to go Scottish after that match because I love Finn Russell so much. Anyway, the one thing I noticed, and this is the one secret which I noticed, which applies to many people's attitudes about skin health, is I noticed that England, again, once they were faced with a different challenge or a different scoreboard, they suddenly started tensing up and changing their process. And I see this time and time again, which is why many people struggle with things like skin problems and also improvements for their health in general. It's about the continuous day-to-day, everyday lifestyle changes, which you do regardless of the outcome. And there will be challenges. So, for example, in the England match, they went down on the scoreboard and you saw them suddenly looking at the scoreboard and changing how they play, changing the things they practice week in, week out. And they also looked at the opposition playing very well, and they changed how they played. And one of the main things on a Skin Microbiome Fitness Packages is we get people to understand actually it's a long-term process. So stop looking at the day-to-day small changes. in your skin, because these will happen regardless of whether you're improving or not. And you need to keep the same daily improvements in your lifestyle and look at that overall trend over months, years. And that's how to be successful in anything, isn't it? And
I like that analogy, because it shows even at the top level, there's still that obsession with changing, and not just changing, but as soon as something goes wrong, like switching something up and looking for the next shiny object or the magic pill. And so I think while England aren't on the level that most people are, because they're very disciplined compared to the general population, it still does show that point, I would say.
Yeah, no, I agree. And again, it sounds like I'm having a go at incredibly hardworking, talented people, but what I'm actually talking about is management and the mindset which you need to be at the elite level. Just seemed, obviously, they were found lacking there. So if you compare them to New Zealand, for example, obviously they beat them recently, but New Zealand in their pomp, in their prime, New Zealand don't look at the opposition, barely look at the scoreboard, and they just play their way for 80 minutes. And that was why they were called arrogant, because in interviews they were asked about the England team and their opposite numbers, and they said, "Who's that?" Because they genuinely, it wasn't out of arrogance, they genuinely don't care about the other team at all. It's irrelevant, the other team. You could be playing a bunch of 14-year-old boys, or you could be playing England team, and you still play exactly the same way.
Yeah, and I think that's nice, like you were saying, the analogy with the skin too. So on our Skin Microbiome Fitness Packages, everyone thinks that, say, the hard part is, say, the science. Well, the hard part was what we've done, is the science and the understanding. But for the people themselves, the hard part isn't any of that. The hardest thing we found is changing that mindset from looking for a magic potion. As soon as one thing goes wrong, stop that, look for another magic potion. 2, understanding the skin is like playing rugby, being fit. You've got to stick to one process and keep doing that consistently as a lifestyle change until that becomes, over the long term, that becomes your consistent process, and it's just you. Like you're saying about England, I feel they need to find their identity and just stick with that, irrespective if they lost. So them losing against Scotland is less about them losing, and it's more about how they lost, because they looked completely different. Like they won against Wales, and then they played against Scotland, they looked completely different. But like you said, New Zealand stayed the same. And it's the same with getting skin health. As long as you have the right direction, about the skin microbiome, and as long as you have the right products and processes, what you need to do is employ the mindset of a long-term lifestyle change.
Exactly, and that's a crucial point there. I think it was the way in which they lost, because I don't care about day-to-day losses, and again, they were too scared about losing or winning as opposed to repeating the process. And I just want to say, on our Skin Microbiome Fitness Packages, what we've done is absolutely something which no one else in the whole world has done before for the skin. So we've packaged up all of our research, all of our intellectual property, all of our technology, all of our worldwide team of experts, all of the experience of more than 10 years of helping people through this process of microbiome rebuilding. So again, we've done all the hard work, the heavy lifting. So the final piece of the puzzle, which seems hard to shift in some people, is that mindset change.
Yeah, and we can only help people who do shift that mindset. And I assume too, it's like England, the coach, I know you said it's a coaching problem, which it could very well be, but also say the coach was doing the right things, they can only help and get the best out of the players who actually buy into that mindset. So it's hard to know sometimes whether it is a coaching problem or with England, or a player just not buying into that.
Exactly, yeah, that's a good point.